Hello everybody and welcome to Historical Moments. In today's episode we're exploring why the United States intervened in the Korean War. The Korean War is sometimes called the Forgotten War, but its consequences were enormous. It was the first major armed conflict of the Cold War, a battle that tested America's post-World War II strategy, and it still defines US relations with Korea today. So let's go back to 1950 and unpack how the US found itself fighting halfway around the world. When World War II ended in 1945, Korea, once a Japanese colony, was suddenly caught between two superpowers. To quickly disarm Japanese forces, the Allies agreed to divide Korea temporarily at the 38th parallel. The Soviet Union occupied the north, and the United States took responsibility for the south. What was supposed to be a temporary division soon became permanent. In the north, the Soviets, supported by Kim Il-sung, a communist leader who built a socialist state aligned with Moscow, and in the south, the US backed an anti-communist nationalist. Both men claimed to be the rightful leader of all Korea. By 1949, the Cold War was in full swing. The Soviet Union had tested its first atomic bomb. Communist forces had taken control of China under Mao Zedong. To Washington, it looked like communism was spreading fast, and containment of that spread had become the cornerstone of American foreign policy. So when tensions flared between the North and the South, US officials were already on edge. They feared that if one East Asian nation fell to communism, others might follow, a belief known as the domino theory. That fear was about to be tested. On June 25, 1950, North Korean troops crossed the 38th parallel, launching a surprise attack on the south. Within days they captured Seoul and pushed South Korean and American forces to the edge of the peninsula. President Harry S. Truman and his advisors saw this as more than just a regional dispute. It was, in their view, the first open act of communist aggression since World War II. If the US didn't respond, they feared the Soviet Union and China would interpret that as a green light to expand further. Truman framed the decision not as a declaration of war, but as a United Nations police action, a collective defense against aggression. Under the UN flag, the US led a coalition of forces to defend South Korea. So why did the US really intervene? There were several overlapping reasons. Containment of communism. The US was following the Truman Doctrine, which promised to support free peoples resisting subjugation by armed minorities or outside pressures. Credibility in the Cold War. America's global leadership was at stake. Failing to act in Korea might have undermined Western confidence and emboldened communist regimes. Support for the United Nations. The US wanted to prove that the new international system created after World War II could stop aggression collectively. Strategic interests in Asia. Korea's fall could threaten nearby allies like Japan and the Philippines, vital links in America's Pacific defense network. The war dragged on for 3 bloody years, with neither side gaining much ground. In 1953 an armistice ended the fighting, but no peace treaty was ever signed. Over 36,000 Americans died. Millions of Koreans lost their lives, and the peninsula remains divided to this day. For the US, the Korean War marked a turning point. It solidified the policy of containment, expanded American military commitments abroad, and shaped decades of foreign policy in Asia. So why did the US intervene in Korea? Because leaders in Washington believed that if they didn't draw the line there, the entire post-war order might unravel. What started as a civil war became a global struggle over ideology, power and security, one that still echoes across the 38th parallel today. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.